I love you, man. Love you too, Shane.
Okay, so we were just discussing how bad everyone hates that here.
No, but apparently a lot of people love it. I just dislike it.
I think your moves are awesome. Me, the Lex hoedown, it's horrible.
Love it. Hey guys, we're going to talk about. I'm Shane, by the way.
He is Shane, and I'm Lex.
And we're going to talk about Central Server again. Our last webcast where we discussed this, it was still in beta. I'm going to answer some of your questions. Some gotchas.
Yeah.
There's been some gotchas that have come out. Some use cases that we quite hadn't anticipated, but that's always the way it is. Every time I know you go out to a customer site or I go to a customer site, and we're like, dang, they're using that in a way I never thought.
Wow, I didn't know they were doing that. So
enter my mind. So let's talk about that, and I want to start out with really quick a gotcha.
Yes.
All right.
This is a little bit of a.
This is pretty big. Yeah.
It can it will get you. It's a good definite gotcha.
So. Ideally, you're going to upgrade an existing database. Ideally, if you've got your PDQ installed on a server or even installed on your machine, and you're like, I'm going to make this the central server.
You pick the database that has the most of the work that you've done.
The packages, the schedules, and stuff.
You might want to import some of the others.
But there's ways to export your packages and schedules and stuff, and then re-import them. Onto you. So let's say you install, and here's the gotcha. If you are going to install PDQ Deploy 13 on a new server and take your existing server, you're not going to upgrade the database. You're just going to export your schedules, export your packages, and then import them on that. When you do your schedules, if you have schedules that are linked to PDQ Inventory,
yes.
Remember, inventory. That is linking to the collection IDs, not the collection names, the collection IDs of that console that you were originally running. So if you install inventory on that machine, it's going to have different collection IDs.
Exactly.
So yeah, there was a fellow that did that, and all of a sudden he was getting he exported his collections his schedules, imported them, and then set the packages, but the targets were linked to collections that were different because we linked to collection ID. We linked to collection ID so that you can change
the name of the collection
and not break that link.
So basically, if you are going to import your schedules, you need to make sure you go and relink them. To the collection library and relink your packages. Okay?
Yeah. So here's an example, just to take Audacity here. So we set these to go daily at 11. The targets, if you do a link to PDQ Inventory collection, and I'm going to link to the collection library, so we'll just do Audacity. So I'm going to say install this to machines that have an old version of Audacity. I export this, re-import this on another machine. You need to come into your links, remove them,
and re-add
and re-add it. Okay, that's just like you have to re-add the which packages are attached to it. So just please keep that in mind. It's a gotcha. It's
bad things can happen.
Yeah, it's hit. I know one person in particular, but that's generally if you can upgrade your existing database, the one that has the most schedules and stuff. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do a question.
Dear Shane and Lex, what is the most efficient manner of exporting packages from multiple consoles into the central server console? There is no export package parameter of pdqdeploy.exe, so I can't script it. Sincerely, Stephen V.
Well, you can do you can export multiple packages at once, and I've seen also people create collection folders. You're still going to have to use the console, Stephen, but you can do multiple packages to export, and then import them, and they'll import those three packages.
And if it was me, I'd put it on a file share, so it becomes very easy for you to find it on the server. Another gotcha with exporting packages is when you export, you're only exporting the definition. That's an XML file. Yeah.
You're not actually exporting the binary or the install files. So what you're going to want to do is make sure that you copied your repository over to the new repository, all those files, install files over to the new repository, and then import.
Well, here's actually a best practice.
put it on a file share, guys. Make sure you use the UNC path for your repository, and it becomes infinitely easier at that point to do this.
To do that, I'm going to go to the preferences.
Options.
There we go. I still prefer Control Comma. Anyway, go to repository. That's that value right there. Repository. This is the machine Guinness. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. If you want to move this, go create your repository on a file share, and then put that new path in this field. But copy your existing repository install files over there.
To there, yeah.
So that you know your packages, once you import them on that new server or that new console, it will work. So.
Okay, and any of your custom packages, make sure you move those up and then change the references if you're calling them direct.
Yeah, if you have custom packages that don't use repository, and you've built them on your machine and they're referencing C users Alex or something like that, you're gonna need to change that.
Yeah.
That's why we have the repository, because to get away from this. That way you set the value once, and then all your packages that refer to it, as long as those files are there, you're good.
Yeah.
You can do. I would suggest doing multiple packages at once to export, and then import that one file, Stephen.
Yep.
Next question.
Dear Shane and Lex, where can I see who is using the concurrent sessions in PDQ? I am getting a message that there are 3 concurrent sessions, and there are only 2 of us with access to PDQ here. Sincerely, Mixmaster Matt M.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Okay, you can't do it from the GUI, but there's a table in the database you can look at. To do that, you can go to Preferences again, go to Database.
Control comma.
Hey, Control comma. There's a SQLite console. Move this over here. Let me see if I can remember it. It's we'll just do a select star from
User sessions?
It's a console user sessions.
Yeah, I was close.
And here you'll see, in this case, the name of the user, so we can see Quintana and Al Swearingen are connected, and the last field is the computer from which they come.
So right there's the computer.
Guinness and Heineken.
Right
So
there's
do
the
a
user.
select star from console user sessions. Make sure if you're using the SQLite 3 like we're doing here, to have a semicolon after your select statement.
Very good.
Otherwise, it doesn't. It's like Perl. It doesn't terminate it.
What do I do?
It's just expecting additional. If you hit enter, hit your enter, your carriage return. Anyway, that's how you can do it. This will only store concurrent sessions.
Yep.
So that should help you narrow it down, Matt. Sure.
Let's hit it.
Dearest and most beloved PDQ gurus, if we switch to Central Server, how do we go about keeping some of our custom packages accessible only to the user who created them? For instance, if we designate one admin to take responsibility for PowerShell packages, how can we make sure other admins can access them? Sincerely, yours in IT, Monica K.
Hi, Monica. At this point, that is not available.
Yeah.
It's for this first iteration of the Central Server feature.
All or nothing at this point.
Once there's a package there, anybody who's an approved console user, remember you enter your console users right there from options, they can see those. Now they can't edit them if you're editing them. It locks that package while it's being edited. So if this is really a concern, I would. You might want
Make sure you open it on your console and never close it. But they can still deploy if you do that anyway.
Yeah, I would. If you do that, I would. I don't know. There's other way. I know we've got some people that maintain a separate local console where they have their packages and then they'll export them. But based on customer feedback, we are planning on addressing that at some point.
Yeah.
We just had to get this out kind of.
Speaking of console users, it is a best practice, guys, when you set up your server to go in and add all your console users at that point, just like Shane had brought up here. Options, console users. Save yourself the trouble. I mean, if you add them here, they already know that, you're going to be using it. And then when someone gets on like, I have access denied, I can't get in there, you've already taken care of it pre. So.
And remember when you add that, so I'm adding Carillion, if you add, when you enter the password, you're not entering the password for the user, you're entering the background service password.
And you will notice right here, right before, you closed it, man.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now,
add a new one. There you
add a new one.
How hard
right here. right here it says that is your background, and that's the password you need to put in right there.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
If you don't do that and somebody tries to run the console, the client from another machine that connects to this central server, then they will be asked to enter the background service password.
Yep.
So if you don't want that background service password to be known, you need to kind of set your environment up here.
Yep. We got any other questions?
Dear Shane and Lex, here's a question that a lot of people are asking right now. Is there a release date for PDQ Inventory 13 Central Server? Sincerely, Chris C.
I got this one. June 1st. I didn't tell you what year. I don't. Okay, I don't know.
Yes,
guys.
it is forththumh. I'm gonna smack you.
You should actually. That'd be pretty.
You're so lucky.
I mean, no, do not.
You're so
smack
lucky. I'm terrified of you. Otherwise, you'd be dead. If I wasn't such
Don't make
a
me.
wuss.
Don't make me sit
dead.
on you, man.
All right. We're hoping to go into a beta. Our beta 1 this week. So either today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
That might get pushed off a day or two. So the beta starts. We're planning on. Unless there's
Is that
something
going to be a
tragic.
public beta, or are we
Yeah, public
inviting
beta.
people?
Public
beta. So keep an eye.
then hopefully within 3 weeks. The answer is within 3 weeks. It should be released. Not a beta. That's our goal. But once again, a goal.
Goal. Goal. Hey, look at this. I'm air quoting.
Yeah.
Goal.
But I'm going to say it's definitely going to be. It's definitely going to be in June. I'm pretty confident about that one. But that's it. Like I say, that there's so much of a shared code base between deploy and inventory that getting deploy out was a really big effort for us. But inventory is not as much, and it would have been vice versa as well because of the shared code base. So much of the work was already done. So.
Hey,
the beta is gonna the beta yeah I'm sorry in June. The beta is gonna rock. There you go.
Dear Shane and Lex, while the heartbeat trigger is nice, can you not monitor user login via inventory? This would be a nicer trigger for some deployments. Sincerely, Sean, uppercase G.
Not right now. We are planning tentatively on offering. We mentioned this before. Just like Central Server is a feature, it's not a new product. It's a feature in the enterprise mode of PDQ Deploy, and soon to be PDQ Inventory. We're going to offer an optional agent. Right now, we have kind of what's known as an on-demand agent, and that means that the agent only exists during the life of whatever a deployment or a scan. An optional, always have to stress that, don't we?
Yeah.
An optional agent, and
then
once we have that agent, then these types of features like a user login trigger and stuff are a lot easier for us to accomplish because, right now the heartbeat is just because we have to poll effectively. We don't have an agent that's resident on those systems at all time. But that when we offer the agent, it will be optional, and just because we have the agent doesn't mean all the features that agent can provide will be available. We've got to get that framework down first, and then we'll start adding features. So, not right now. You're going to have to be much more specific than that, dude.
Yesterday's, during our webcast planning meeting, we talked about some of the gotchas with Central Server transitioning from...
Well, we covered the biggest one.
Okay.
Yeah, the biggest gotcha was definitely
importing schedules.
Yeah, importing and exporting.
Yeah.
So making sure that if you have linked targets, just to reset them, just be on the safe side and reset them, especially if those targets are going to PDQ inventory collections. So some
Is
other
there a gotcha we missed, JJ?
Well, there's some other, and Brig, feel free to chime in if you have anything you want to say that you know of some gotchas out there. Do you know any?
Nothing other than what we just talked about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
far.
So far.
Always, I definitely recommend. Definitely, as always, if you're going to have your repository, remember this is the repository. All right, there. If you're going to have your repository on a machine that's not the central server, or not your, even remove central server from the equation. If you're going to have, if you ever have your repository on a remote file system, like a remote file share, then it's very important. There we go.
Performance, yeah.
To set those deployments to pull. All right, that will just save a lot of bandwidth.
Basically what happens is this,
Please.
okay? If you have it as push, okay, and you put it on a file share, push is going to pull it to the console and then push it from the console out, which one extra copy you don't need. Pull is going to send the instructions. Go get it from here, and it'll grab it once.
I do want to modify one thing when you say console, and this is because you and I have, this
for
is
years console.
Yeah, it's console. So yes, it's where the deploy background service. So if you're running PDQ Deploy and you're not using Central Server and you use push, your file system's out there, you want to have that set to pull, because otherwise there's 2 copies across the network. But if you're running in client mode, then you have it set to push, it's still going to the server, the back of the central server, and then pushing out from there. It's not actually coming to the client console.
Okay.
Just making sure that's known.
So again, the background service, which runs on the server, or if you're running it local, So.
Dear Shane and Lex, in our super weird setup, we have our infrastructure segregated, Philippines and U.S., and I need to be able to monitor both. Currently, I'm using 2 VMs. Is there an easier way to switch servers? Sincerely, Tiffany G.
Remote
We
desktop.
have Philippines and U.S., and I need to be able to monitor both. Currently, I'm using 2 VMs. Is there trying to think. I want to make sure I understand your question.
There's a lot of depends on that.
Yeah, there is. If you if you have a console, let's say you want to connect to the Philippines, Tiffany, your Philippines server, you're running a console on your workstation. That workstation can only go to one central server. You would have to go into open up PDQ Deploy and change that console to point to the Philippines.
server,
You'd have to make that switch each time.
Yeah.
So you still may want to just end up using your remote desktop or some other remote control, but you can do it. You're just going to have to change the path, or the central server. Yeah, the central server that you're going to point to every time you're doing that. So I guess it's just kind of pick your pain. If you don't have to go to one of those but once a month, then it might not be a bad thing to do that.
Yeah.
Actually, and it's fairly easy in PDQ to do that, since it's just basically you just go to the options central server, and then go ahead and just choose the new server name. So it's much easier to do it that way than it was previously, where you would need to actually log into the VM. So now you can just take that one client, because the client doesn't have a local database and it doesn't have a background service. You just click on, or you just select the host name of the new server. So you can actually manage those much easier now.
Thank you, Brig.
Yep.
So right now we're looking at the computer Heineken. This is a remote desktop session just to illustrate this. Heineken is running in client mode. So
And it's pointed against us,
pointed
as you can see here.
So here, change settings and just basically type in
New server.
with whatever server or IP address, if you don't have the resolution, to the Philippines or the U.S. back and forth. And you can change that, but you're gonna have to change that each time you want to work on one of those.
Or have a different remote desktop that runs a different client on each. Right?
It's up to you. You kind of have to pick your poison on that one.
Dear Shane and Lex,
That was Lex and Shane.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Illiterate. My literacy beam works.
It's working. You hit me with it this morning. Dear Lex and Shane, how can we handle scheduled tasks linked to PDQ inventory collections from other admins via central server? Sincerely, Massimo R.
I want to make sure. Hey, Massimo, I want to make sure I understand this. When you here, I'm on Heineken until we get central server for inventory. When I say once again, I'm in Heineken. This is a client console. So this is one of those remote admins that you're talking about. If I go to create a schedule for this, let's go to targets. And I link to PDQ inventory collection. This is pulling up. Am I speaking out of church here? Is this pulling up the
inventory collection on the server, isn't it?
Yeah, this should be pulling up the inventory on the now I'm
You're just questioning yourself.
now I'm questioning myself. Hold on. Do we have inventory here? So I'm going to do this. And this might if this is not what I'm anticipating right now because I'm having a brain fart, this would change in central server for inventory.
Yeah.
But I'm going to just create a new dynamic collection and call it that. Yeah, why not?
Hey, look, it's our webcast.
Deploy, schedule, link to. So I'm going to link to inventory here. And that's a good question, obviously, because I'm going, hold on, now I'm questioning myself. Good. Good, yeah. So when they're linking to the inventory that's on the central server. So if at this point, if inventory is not on central server as well, they're not going to be able to link to. So it will link to the inventory from the central server that's on that machine, on the same machine as the PDQ Deploy server.
Build your collections you want on the server.
So I say I'm going to go ahead and link this to Audacity. We'll go to the collection library, yada, yada, yada. Old triggers. We'll just do weekly. All right, and there we go.
You know, we need to remember to turn these off. Remember that time I left that on and I nuked the whole network when we were at the show?
Yep, now I'm going to, now Massimo, you're out there on the central server and you're going to your schedules and you see this is just your UI. Yeah. And you see that that's going to Audacity.
So why
they
not?
can all do it. This just you have to remember you're linking to the inventory collections on the central server. So hopefully that answers that.
Excellent.
Dear Shane and Lex, how can we use PDQ Inventory to restart the computers that are requiring Windows updates so that the update installs when the computer restarts? I see the collection of computers that say that they are requiring a restart, but running the normal restart command that is built into Inventory does not let them do the update on restart. Sincerely, Tim L.
Actually, Tim, that's actually a good thing because you'd hate to restart machines.
Well, but I've seen both. I've seen both behaviors where when I do a remote from Inventory, I say restart. If they've already done the download and the install, it's partway through, then I've seen them come back up and install it.
And
then a couple times I've seen it not do it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You've seen that? Okay, so if it's already queued up, ready to go, the restart's just going to do it.
Yeah, it's just going to do it. If it's already installed the updates, it's just waiting for a restart, and we just send the restart command. Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen it where it just does this typical.
But to
17%,
force it to do that,
and I've only seen a few instances where I was like, oh, I was expecting that to install, and maybe it had just downloaded and not installed them yet. That's probably what it is. So if it's installed, remember there's two parts of these Windows Update installs. There's the installation, and since so many of these files are in use, it then marks that this computer needs to be restarted, and you reboot it. And there, when you're restarting from the console or from that local machine, there's often I can restart or I can install updates and shut down, or install updates and restart. When we do the shutdown,
just a standard restart command.
For the most part, I see it apply those updates.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but let's say that you want. I mean, here's what I would suggest. Honestly, we don't initiate the restarts in. We do not initiate the reboots in the Windows updates, the packages that we provide. But I would suggest that you can either come in to the package that you've created and create a new step to restart at the end of it. There's the reboot. And that's just going to be at the end, and you can set your seconds before or whatever. Or you can, if you're doing auto deployment, you can, for this package, you can set a reboot step that's additional to this. It'll affect every schedule for this particular package in the auto deployment world. But we're giving you that option. I would still suggest that you install these Windows updates at night or when people aren't using them via your schedules, and then if you're using auto deployment, add
a reboot
to that. That's what I would suggest.
Post step, yeah.
Otherwise, there is a collection. There is a collection that comes just the standard. It's called requires reboot. Now, this can be requires reboot for a number of reasons. Anytime an application installs over files that are being used, it can just set up a couple of different flags in the registry to say.
So it's not necessarily just Windows updates at this point.
Correct. We don't know if it's Windows updates or if you installed Inkscape or something like that required a reboot. But you can set your reboot schedule to machines that have a reboot required in the middle of the night or something like that.
Are there any other best practices we haven't covered yet before we continue on with questions?
I can't think of any right now.
Right.
But I'm also drinking. So.
Same.
Brig, any thoughts?
No, pretty much, yeah, we covered the gotcha with the schedule.
And the repository, make sure
Do
you're
we
using
need to
pool.
cover licensing? Because I get so many
Yeah.
questions on licensing about it.
We need to cover licensing.
Should
Yes, we
should
do.
bring in the licensing expert?
Yeah, when are you
Yes.
coming over here, Lisa?
All right, we'll take this question after.
After?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We need this.
Yeah. This will be awesome.
We've got our resident Danny DeVito here. So
Oh, we can show it before and after.
We've
if we
got
need
a
to.
stool. Come on, step
All
up
right,
there.
so here's the before.
Thank you, Shane.
After.
Appreciate it. Hello.
Okay, so everybody's asking about licensing.
Yes.
Do you need to buy an extra license for server? Central Server?
No,
Okay.
you do not. Your current license you already have is included.
It is
Okay,
a
so-
feature, not an extra product.
It's
Right.
it's a feature, right?
Correct.
Like JJ was saying. Okay, so basically, I've got 2 admins, and we're both using Central Server. I need,
2 licenses.
okay?
Yes.
So you don't need an extra for Central Server?
Nope.
Any other things to add on that?
No, I'm pretty sure that's it. So it's already
anybody-
included in your license you have.
Do we have any questions on Central licensing, server licensing at all for Lisa while she's here?
I
You're
don't think
still short.
Yes.
even with that.
even with the massive step stool,
Masters,
to the
there we go. You're still, yeah.
yeah.
18-inch
You're just
off
teeny,
the
it's
ground
like-
step stool.
Do we have
Yeah.
any other questions?
Anything else, JJ, you guys are seeing? No?
Not on.
Okay.
this.
Okay, good enough.
No.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Yes.
Thanks,
you're
Lisa.
welcome.
What's odd is I'm 6 feet, and almost everybody I do webcasts with, I look.
That's right.
Yeah, because
Briggs tall.
Briggs like
Chris
6'2".
tall.
you're 6'4".
You're 6'4", holy.
Chris is like 6'2". What are you?
Hey Shane, step on the step stool.
Yeah, let me
Don't
Watch
don't
him
hit the
Now
lights.
watch it break.
Yeah, all right.
There we go. Hey,
Hey, your head's right on the top.
we have a lot of tall people.
Yeah.
We don't hire any
Wow.
basketball.
I thought you guys were much shorter.
Now I want to modify that. Yes, it's licensing is based on the admins, but if you've got Central Server, so we've got Central Server here on Guinness, and then Heineken. We have 2. You and I are the only admins, so we have
Yeah.
2 licenses. If I'm running the console
Oh, that is a good point. Okay.
on the Central Server, and then I go to my machine and I create a console, it's going to say, hey, there's 3 concurrent sessions here.
Just make sure you turn off the server if you're using a client, okay?
So basically, it comes down to the licensing is per admin or per user of either the console or the CLI.
yeah.
So it's
So wherever your console is, that's accounted. So if you're using the server, that's account on the console. If you got 2 clients, 2 licenses, and the server console's off, you're good to go.
Yep. It's just that's just to throw it out there. But we have people with just 1 enterprise license. They still want to use Central Server. And they're saying, do I have to have one for Central Server? No, but you can't have both consoles running at
Both
one
at the
time
same time.
if you have just that. Yeah, it's good to throw down.
Can I just one second
yeah,
here?
hit it, man.
I just kind of want to just tail end on that is one of the important things that we get a lot of questions about is if Central Server, if the application is actually, or the server instance is turned off, where the application is closed, can we still use the client? And that is absolutely correct. Yes, you can. The only thing that we would care about is the background service. So you don't actually need the actual console running on. the
Yeah,
server.
background service does not require
No.
a separate license.
So every console that's open is counted as
Yep.
concurrent at that point. So
Yep, concurrent sessions. Yep.
Cool.
thanks.
Final question of the day. Dear Lex and Shane, with the central server setup, where do you create the packages? On the client side or the server side? Maybe both, and they replicate? Thanks in advance for your awesome answer, Federico D.
There's a lot of faith in that little opinion you just appended. Okay, there's no replication because you create a package on the client. I'm over
And
here.
it's actually being built on the console.
Correct. Everything
All
is
the-
on the console.
All the client is a view of the server.
That is correct. So probably the easiest way to demonstrate this is to go to the package library, Federico, and I'm just going to import.
Let's build a new package. Do a dir, dude.
Do it, dir.
Do a dir.
When in doubt, do a deer.
Do a dir.
Yeah. So I'll just grab Bandy Zip here because it doesn't exist.
Nope, there it is.
There it is, and import it, and then come back over here, and you will see Bandy Zip just pop up right there. So there is no replication when you create, whether you're on the console that's on the server or you're on a client running a client session. Everything is created on that server.
Yep.
And that, once again, I had to stress, this is an optional feature. You're not required to use the central server.
It kicks butt, though. It's really nice.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
Hey, thanks for watching, you guys. If you have any questions, please let us know. We highly encourage you to participate in the beta
Please.
of PDQ Inventory, but also remember that it is a beta, so there are going to be problems.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, Shane is headed out to visit a bunch of our customers, so it will probably be me and someone much better looking than me on the webcast.
That's
after
not
this.
a hard pull.
Pretty much just everybody, right?
Just
So,
we're next to the homeless shelter, and that's still
everybody.
Vegas odds that they'll be better looking.
If you're watching this from Scotland, send
Yeah,
send
I'm
us a
gonna be out-
message.
I'm gonna be out
and
in-
we made Kelly or
Kelly at PDQ.
send it to Kelly, and Shane might drop by your office.
Yeah, next week Sean and I are going to be out at the Business of Software in London, and then after that, if there's anybody that's interested, let us know. So rock on.
Right on.
We'll talk to you guys later.
See y'all.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations to Matt M. and Chris C., winners of PDQ Swag. Also, Mark S., winner of our PDQ Coaster, I should say. If you'd like to send us your info at webcast@pdq.com, we'll get that out to you as soon as we can. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.